Education in Israel refers to the comprehensive education system of Israel. Expenditure on education accounts for approximately 10% of GDP, and most schools are subsidized by the state. The education system consists of 3 tiers: primary education, middle school and high school. Compulsory education takes place from kindergarten through to 12th grade. The school year begins on September 1st, ending for elementary school pupils on June 30th, and for middle school and high school pupils on June 20th. Education in Israel is highly valued in the national culture, with its historical values dating back to ancient Israel, as education was viewed as one of the fundamental blocks of ancient Israelite life and civilization. Israeli culture views higher education as the key to higher mobility and socioeconomic status in Israeli society. The emphasis of education within Israeli society goes to the gulf within the Jewish diaspora, from the Renaissance and Enlightenment Movement all the way to the roots of Zionism in the 1880s. Jewish communities in the Levant were the first to introduce compulsory education, for which the organized community, not less than the parents, was responsible for the education of the next generation of Jews. With contemporary Jewish culture's strong emphasis, promotion of scholarship and learning, and the strong propensity to promote cultivation of intellectual pursuits, as well as the nation's high university educational attainment rate, exemplifies how highly Israeli society values higher education. Israeli Euro unregistered trademark S populace is well educated, and Israeli society highly values education. In 2012, the country ranked second among OECD countries for the percentage of 25 to 64-year-olds that have attained tertiary education, with 46% compared with the OECD average of 32%. In addition, nearly twice as many Israelis aged 55 or 64 held a higher education degree compared to other OECD countries, with 47% holding an academic degree compared with the OECD average of 25%. It ranks 5th among OECD countries for the total expenditure on educational institutions as a percentage of GDP. In 2011, the country spent 7.3% of its GDP on all levels of education, comparatively more than the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development average of 6.3%, and as a result has fostered an education system that helped transform the country and rapidly grow its economy over the past 70 years. The Israeli education system has been praised for various reasons, including its high quality and its major role in spurring Israel's economic development and technological boom. Many international business leaders and organizations such as Microsoft founder Bill Gates and the technology giant IBM have praised Israel for its high quality of education in helping spur Israel's economic development. Educational tracks. Israeli schools are divided into several tracks: state religious, independent schools and the Arab. There are also private schools which reflect the philosophies of specific groups of parents or that are based on the curriculum of a foreign country. The majority of Israeli children attend state schools. State religious schools, catering to youngsters from the Orthodox sector, offer intensive Jewish studies programs, and emphasize tradition and observance. The Chinachasmei schools focus almost entirely on Torah study and offer very little in terms of secular subjects. Schools in the Arab sector teach in Arabic and offer a curriculum that emphasizes Arab history, religion and culture. The proportions of pupils attending schools in the Haredi and Arab sectors are increasing. According to a demographic study published in 2009, Haredim and Arabs together will amount to 60% of Israel's elementary school population by 2030. Haredim and Arab citizens are underrepresented in both the Israel Defense Forces and the workforce. The Haredim's lack of mainstream education, and consequent low participation in the workforce, are regarded by many in Israel as a social problem. The Council for Higher Education announced in 2012 that it was investing NIS $180 million over the following 5 years to establish appropriate frameworks for the education of Haredim, focusing on specific professions. Israel's Ministry of Education Euro unregistered trademark S statistics from 2014 show that only about 22% of Haredi students take matriculation exams, since Orthodox yeshivot mostly ignore core subjects. About 8% of Haredi students pass the exam. Miriam Ben-Peretz, Professor Emeritus of Education at the University of Haifa, and winner of the 2006 Israel Prize notes, more and more Israeli students don't unregistered trademark to have any foundation of knowledge, any basics not in math, not in English, not in general. Things have to change. Some Israelis who have been educated in Haredi yeshivas have established Leaving for Change, an organization seeking to sue the government for alleged failure to enforce Israel's law for compulsory education. In 1984 the first integrated schools which had both Jewish and Arab students coexisting in a classroom were built by the residents of Neve Shalom WOW section at As-Salem, a cooperative village founded by Arab and Jewish citizens of Israel. Today this school receives some support from the state. 2 more integrated schools were opened in Jerusalem and Galilee in 1997 by Hand in Hand, Center for Jewish Arab Education in Israel. As of 2010, there were 5 integrated schools in Israel, including that of Neve Shalom. Israeli pupils unregistered trademark rights law. The Israeli Pupils unregistered trademark rights law of 2000 prohibits discrimination of students for sectarian reasons in admission to or expulsion from an educational institution, in establishment of separate educational curricula or holding of separate classes in the same educational institution, and addresses rights and obligations of pupils. The law was fully supported by the Israeli Student and Youth Council. However, discrimination still exists. In 2005, the municipality of Lod refused to allow a 3-year-old Arab child to register in a Jewish kindergarten. Matriculation. High schools in Israel prepare students for the Israeli matriculation exams. These are exams covering various academic disciplines, which are studied in units of 1 to 5 on an ascending scale of difficulty. Students with a passing mark on the mandatory matriculation subjects, who have been tested on at least 21 units, and passed at least one 5-unit exam, receive a full matriculation certificate. Indiana, 2006/7, 74.4% of Israeli 12th graders took the Bagrut exams while only 46.3% were eligible for a matriculation certificate. In the Arab and Druze sectors, the figures were 35.6% and 43.7% respectively. A Bagrut certificate and Bagrut scores often determine acceptance into elite military units, admission to academic institutions, and job prospects. Below is a table illustrating the percentage of matriculation certificate recipients in Israel's largest cities, according to the Israel Central Bureau of Statistics. The Adva Center, a social issues think tank in Israel, says that about 15% of the matriculation certificates issued do not qualify the recipient for admission to Israel's universities. Christian Arabs tend to have had the highest rates of success in the matriculation examinations, both in comparison to the Muslims and the Druze and in comparison to all students in the Jewish education system. Higher education. After secondary education, students are generally conscripted into the Israel Defense Forces, but may request a postponement of the conscription date to study at a pre-service makina, or in a college or university. Those who study in a university at this stage generally do so under a program called Tutor, where the tuition for their bachelor's degree is paid for by the Army. They are however obliged to sign a contract with the Army extending their service by 2-3 years. Universities generally require a certain amount of Bagrut matriculation units and a good grade in the Psychometric entrance test, which is similar in many respects to the American SAT. All of Israel's 9 public universities, and some of its colleges, are subsidized by the state, and students pay only a small part of the actual cost of tuition. The Psychometric entrance test is a standardized test used as a higher education admission exam. The PET covers 3 areas: quantitative reasoning, verbal reasoning and the English language. It is administered by the Israeli National Institute for Testing and Evaluation and is heavily weighed for university admissions. The test may be taken in Hebrew, Arabic, Russian, French, Spanish, or combined Hebrew-English. Comparisons and rankings. According to the Webometrics ranking, 6 of Israel's universities place in the top 100 schools of Asia. 4 universities place in the top 150 in the world according to the Shanghai Jiao Tong University Academic Ranking of World Universities, and 3 are in the Times Higher Education QS World University Rankings. In addition, Israeli universities are among 100 of the top world universities in science and engineering-related subjects, according to the QS World University Rankings: mathematics, physics, chemistry, computer science, engineering, life sciences. In the social sciences, TAU and the Hebrew University rank in the top 100, and these universities are also ranked in the top 100 for economics. Israel is ranked 23rd on REPEC's country and state ranking for economics. In 2010, Hebrew University reached 57th place in the global ranking list published by Shanghai Jiao Tong University in China. Despite strong post-secondary rankings, Israel spends less per student than countries like Norway and Mexico. Some officials have criticized the claim that the strong test scores prove Israel is a highly educated country, pointing out that scores from standardized tests excluding Haredi and special education students, and thus are not an accurate reflection. Israeli teachers must contend with large classes, low wages and low morale. Despite this, Israel ranks second among OECD countries for the percentage of 25 to 64-year-olds that have achieved tertiary education, 46% compared with an OECD average of 32%. Inequality is a problem reflected in Israel's performance on international tests. In the latest PISA exams, in which 500,000 students from 65 countries participated, Israel ranked 33 in reading achievement and 40th in mathematics and science. Only Taiwan had larger gaps in the performance between the best and worst students. Arab sector. Israel is a signatory of the Convention Against Discrimination in Education, and ratified it in 1961. The convention has the status of law in Israeli courts. Israel operates an Arab education system for the Israeli Arab minority, teaching Arab students, in Arabic, about their history and culture. However, there have been claims that the Jewish education system gets more resources. According to the Follow-up Committee for Arab Education, the Israeli government spends an average of $192 per year on each Arab student and $1,100 per Jewish student. It also notes that dropout rate for Israeli Arab citizens is twice as high as that of their Jewish counterparts. The same group also noted that in 2005 there was a 5,000 classroom shortage in the Arab sector. In 1999, in an attempt to close the gap between Arab and Jewish education sectors, the Israeli Education Minister Yossi Sarid announced an affirmative action policy, promising that Arabs would be granted 25% of the education budget, more than their proportional share in the population. He also added that the ministry would support the creations of an Arab academic college. In 2001, a Human Rights Watch report stated that students in government-run Arab schools received inferior education due to fewer teachers, inadequate school construction, and lack of libraries and recreational space. Jewish schools were found to be better equipped, some offering film editing studios and theater rooms. In 2009, Sorel Kahan of Hebrew University's School of Education claimed that the average per-student budget allocation for students with special needs at Arab junior high schools was 5 times lower. In 2007, the Israeli Education Ministry announced a plan to increase funding for schools in Arab communities. According to a ministry official, at the end of the process, a lot of money will be directed towards schools with students from families with low education and income levels, mainly in the Arab sector. The Education Ministry prepared a 5-year plan to close the gaps and raise the number of students eligible for high school matriculation. A 2009 report showed that obstacles to Arab students participating in higher education resulted in over 5,000 moving to study in nearby Jordan. And in 2010, human rights groups and lawyers criticized a number of measures which were introduced to benefit Jewish secondary school leavers and adversely affected Arab students intending to enroll in higher education. The Ministry of Education announced in April 2010 that the suggested curriculum for the coming school year would not include civics, democratic values or Jewish-Arab coexistence, and focus more on Zionist and Jewish values. In 2010, the number of computer science teachers in the Arab sector rose by 50%. The Arab sector also saw a rise of 165% in instructors teaching technology classes and a 171% increase in the number teaching mathematics. The number of physics teachers in Arab schools grew by 25%, those teaching chemistry by 44% and in biology by 81.7%. According to a 2012 report by the Higher Arab Monitoring Committee, there is a shortage of 6,100 classrooms and 4,000 teachers in Arab communities. Christian Arabs tend to have had the highest rates of success in the matriculation examinations, both in comparison to the Muslims and the Druze and in comparison to all students in the Jewish education system. Arab Christians were also the vanguard in terms of eligibility for higher education, and they have attained a bachelor's degree and academic degree more than the median Israeli population. The rate of students studying in the field of medicine was also higher among the Christian Arab students, compared with all the students from other sectors. The percentage of Arab Christian women who are higher education students is higher than other sectors. Gender statistics: the dropout rate in grades 8 to 12 is higher for males than females. In 2011, the dropout rate declined, but was still higher among males, with 4.5% of male and 1.7% of female students dropping out of school. In addition, the passing rate of high school matriculation exams stood at 62% for females and 51% for males. The rate of women studying in universities and colleges is also higher. In 2011 to 2012, 56.7% of students at academic institutions were female. In 2012, women were also 59.3% of candidates for master's degree programs and 52.4% for doctorate programs. However, 81% of Israeli professors are men. In addition, fields such as engineering, electricity, physics, mathematics, computer science, and natural sciences are overwhelmingly male-dominated, though there are a large number of women in certain fields of engineering, such as biomedical, industrial, and environmental engineering. Women tend to study more in human and social sciences, such as education and occupational therapy. Status of teachers: over the years, government budget cuts have taken their toll. Israel was amongst the top-ranked nations in international rankings for science and mathematics performance in the 1960s, but dropped to 33 out of 41 nations in the 2002 survey. Wages for Israeli teachers are low compared to other industrialized countries, especially due to the small amount of frontal teaching hours with respect to other developed countries, according to a survey of the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. The government-appointed Dovrat Commission, led by Shlomo Dovrat, concluded in 2004, that the key to improving Israeli education is not more money but better quality teaching. The recommendations included a reform giving school principals the right to fire teachers of poor quality, and reward better ones with higher pay. These moves have been blocked by Israel's teachers' unions, which have paralyzed schools with a series of long strikes, mostly blocking the proposed reforms. Textbooks: according to a paper by Nurit Peldel-Hanan, a professor of language and education at the Hebrew University of Jerusalem, textbooks in Israel promote a negative image of Arabs. The Center for Monitoring the Impact of Peace, a schoolbook monitoring organization, disputed this finding, calling her claim heavily politicized and distorted. In a report published in 2000, the Center for Monitoring the Impact of Peace stated that in textbooks of both the general state-run network and the religious state-run network, there was a genuine effort to remove stereotypes and to build a foundation for coexistence and mutual respect. According to a 2011 report by the Arab Cultural Association, Arabic textbooks provided to 3rd to 9th grade students in Israeli schools were found to contain many mistakes. The report was based on a study of textbooks in all subjects. Dr. George Mansour, who examined the history textbooks, said they ignored the presence of Arab Palestinians in Israel and minimized Arab culture. Strikes: Israeli schools and universities have been subject to repeated strikes over the years by faculty, and, occasionally, by students. The 2007 Israeli student strike started in April 2007 in protest at the government decision to increase tuition fees and the failure to implement the 2001 Winograd Committee recommendation that they be reduced by 25%. After 3 weeks, the universities threatened that all students who failed to return to their studies would have to retake the semester. Student leaders rejected a compromise which would have exempted students from the fee rises. Some students started a hunger strike. The strike ended on May 14 after student leaders accepted the implementation of the Shokat reforms. Middle and secondary school teachers were on strike for a month and a half. Their demands included an 8.5% pay raise, reducing class sizes to a maximum of 30 students, and increasing the length of the school day. The school year was extended until July 10, 2008 for all schools that participated in the strike. Awards and recognition. Each year, municipalities may receive an award for outstanding education initiatives and accomplishments. The 2012 Education Prize of the Israeli Ministry of Education and Culture was awarded to the municipalities of Ariel, Ashdod, Yokneam, Ma'ale Adumim, Safed and Kiryat Bialik. The educational networks of these cities were cited for their unique projects, effectiveness of immigrant absorption, student empowerment, educational leadership, top-quality teaching, encouragement of entrepreneurship and innovation, and promoting excellence in a diverse school population. See also, Education Minister of Israel, List of universities and colleges in Israel, Science and Technology in Israel, First step to Nobel Prize in Physics. Academic grading in Israel. References. External links. Higher education in Israel, the Central Bureau of Statistics, 50 Years of Education in the State of Israel, Boycotts Are Like Burning Books, Students Vote Technion Best Higher Education Institution in Israel, Higher Education in Israel, a dossier on education in Israel, provided by the German Education Server.